What is going on, you beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the New Life Podcast. Today, our special guest is the bright and wonderful Courtney Snell. She is an influencer in many different ways via travel, fitness, and she takes a very holistic approach to life in all of her content. So definitely be sure to check her out, especially if you're a woman. She gives a lot of valuable information for women and women's bodies. Definitely stay tuned for this entire conversation. We touch on many different things like what is life and how to develop a great mindset around our existence. So we get pretty deep, we get a little spiritual, and we touch on ego as well and what role the ego plays in our life and how it can limit us, but also how it can serve us. So let's jump right into it. Here we go.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So how do you like New Jersey so far?
I love it. Yeah, so I'm originally from Ohio. And it honestly reminds me a lot of that. But it's good for a visit.
When someone says it's good to visit, that means it sucks.
No, I still like it though. And we were talking about that the other day. Like, even though it's raining, I think that's beautiful. I think it's all about perspective. And so how it is while I'm here is perfect. And I've had a really good time. You've showed me around and it's been really fun.
Nice, that's awesome. Nice. Yeah. Like that song. Thank you for sunshine.
Thank you for rain.
My son loves that song.
I bet he does.
Yeah, so we met back at the Tony Robbins UPW in West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And it goes to show the concept of surrounding yourself with like-minded people. We were at an event all about how to unleash the power within yourself and work on your business, work on your self-development. And it was such a powerful, right? It was like 10,000 people there. Yeah. So it was amazing to run into you. You guys were just sitting next to each other, right?
Yeah. It was an amazing event. The energy there, the people, all different people from different countries, people with different objectives. They were there for different reasons, and the group that we went with was amazing, which is, all local people. And the seminar was great. The conversations we had, even outside, were great. We went to the beach one day and it was amazing. Like, every part of it just connected so well. And UPW really changed me a lot. It changed the way I look at life, in the sense of how I maybe didn't dedicate enough time to people around me like I should, mainly family, because I was always so busy with work.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that, they deserve more time, and it made me realize how good I feel when I'm with like my family versus just working all the time.
That's awesome.
For sure. Connection's everything.
I was just going to say the connection you have with them and like the connections you choose to develop in your life. Obviously your family is a huge one. And like I said before, like just choosing who to surround yourself with and where to spend your time. Like we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
Like your time's your most valuable
resource.
Yeah.
It's the only thing you can't get back.
Yeah.
Unless you can travel faster than light.
Travel.
If you can travel faster than light.
Maybe Elon Musk will figure that out.
Yes, I think so. Oh, we're wearing the same pants, by the way. Different color.
Ah. I knew I liked it. We were thinking of making the topic of the podcast today, what is life?
What is life?
Like pretty trippy, but like, how do you measure it? With happiness, with success, with money, with connection, just throwing things out there.
Yeah. We were talking yesterday, and people ask all the time, like, what is the point of life? And it is life. Like, that is every day. Every day is the point. It's the journey. It's getting to know people. It's learning. It's growing. It's happiness. It's sadness. It's all of it, because you can't have the good without the bad. You have to have all of it. So that is the point of house. That's how I measure my life, is all of the experiences, because your path is divine and everything's meant to happen. Like us meeting each other meant to happen. Yep. Me coming to visit meant to happen. This podcast meant to happen. These words coming out of my mouth meant to happen. All of it is divine.
Mm-hmm. Even if we're fumbling.
Yeah.
It's all just, it is what it is.
The fumbles are some of the most important, because that's where you learn, and then you can grow and you can try again and keep going and know how strong you are from those fumbles. Like, you don't know how strong you are from winning all the time. Like, that doesn't mean that you're growing. You're not challenging yourself enough if you're not failing. So the fumbles that lets you know who you are.
Totally. And what I learned last night hanging out with you and just connecting well was the present moment is life. Like that is what life is.
Yeah, that's all that life.
And if you're living in the present moment, it can last a lifetime.
Yep.
Right? We read that in the Daily Stoic, and it just hit so hard because if you're enjoying the present moment always, then you're enjoying life forever.
Yep.
And it's like, how does one achieve that, right? Obviously, there's going to be constant failure, but there should be. And it's okay to look at the past and look at the future, right? You have to plan things. You have to learn from your past. Or like you might have warming memories.
Right.
So we were like having that conversation about, is that being in the present moment if you're doing those things? And it's just an interesting concept to me.
Yeah, I think it is and it isn't. Like, you can't be consumed by them. You know, you can't let it overtake your thoughts and control them. Like, you can think about the past in a sense of learning from them, but applying them to the present instead of just worrying or thinking like, oh, I should have said that, I should have done that.
Right.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's right now. You thinking you should have done that, could have done that, isn't going to change what was already done. So
Sure thing. I feel like there's a lot of, I like to call them snowball effects of thought that people have every day. And the whole thing is pointless. The whole thing is a waste of time.
Yeah.
And being able to recognize and have the awareness to notice when your thoughts are on that path is the first step, obviously. But the second step is to reverse it or just move on completely, you know?
Yeah, I feel like people get stuck. So I think life is just a line where it's either going up or it's flat or it's going down. But if you're living it right, it should be going kind of like up a little. And you should be able to look at your past and just take the good and the bad and basically, you know, just try to not make the same mistakes you have. And then also plan out your future so that you can make the best decisions possible to whatever you can control. But not, for example, like I've been to places where people are recording an event. Like if you go to a concert or something or whatever, like it's okay to record so you can see it later. But some people are so focused on let's get a good videos and that they're not even enjoying the concert, you know? So I feel that you can try to prepare for the future and you can use the past to make your experience the best it can be. But also live in the moment, you know?
It always comes back down to balance. And I feel like a lot of our topics we talk about, they all come back down to balance. And like balance can look different for different people. In the same like topic, your balance might be a little different than mine for fulfillment.
Yeah.
Life is a wave, right? You said, I don't know what you meant by it's going up, but like I always know
it goes up and down, up and down.
Life's
But
like
the overall
constant
trend should be up.
But you know, if you're living your ideal life, then it should always be going up, you know?
Sure thing. But I feel like, you know, the downs are inevitable. Like you said, you can't have the good without the bad. And like life's a wave. And I think the goal is to have your wave like homeostasis. It's not necessarily ever going to be straight, but I think it should be like a small dip, small increase versus going like this, where you have really high highs, really low lows. And people live their lives like that. And it's very taxing on your body. And, you know, many things can contribute to it.
Yeah.
Like your chemical releases in your brain, like drug use, you're up here and then you're down here, just as an example. But it translates into other things as well. And that's why going back down to like living your passions, living a career you love, putting people first, not money, for example. That's what will also help, in my opinion, to even everything out.
Well, I think it's not so much like the waves. It's internal versus external for me. So like wild events could be happening, but the waves in your head, they are more steady. You know, like people could be dying. You could be going through tragic events. Like you could be losing your business. We're in a recession. Like so many different things could be happening externally, but internally, you're not letting that affect you. Like going back to the thoughts each day, we have 50 to 70,000 thoughts each day. Most of them are the same exact thoughts that we had the previous day. Your life is created by your thoughts. So if you're having the same thoughts every day, better better make sure they're good thoughts. Like, you have to start in here if you want your life to go in that upward trajectory. Like, that's at the end of the day.
Totally.
And that's where happiness comes from. It's not external. It's always internal. Your entire life, everything is internal.
And everything's a mirror, like you said.
Everything's a mirror. Yeah.
And what we talked about in Steph's podcast, which was how to be an alpha, or what it means to be an alpha. And we kind of concluded with strongly a sense of emotional stability, responding, not reacting, right? Like, crazy things can go on externally, but you need to be able to process and respond appropriately, positively, and in every situation, no matter what. But I love that. Can you touch on the concept of, like, life's a mirror?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about life. It starts with your thoughts, and your thoughts become feelings. Your feelings become actions, and your actions become your life. So your life is literally started in your brain from your thoughts. So everything that you come into contact with, everything that is around you, your friends, it starts with your thoughts. It starts with your internal. Everything is a mirror in a sense that if you have core wounds, like, you're going to manifest those into your life. If you have, say, mother or father wounds, those are going to manifest into your relationships because that's what you think you deserve. And so friendships, businesses, like, you accept the love that you deserve. And so everything that you create around you is going to meet a mirror of the love that you think that you deserve. A lot of people will self-sabotage because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So they think that they're not good enough, so they make it happen so that it's confirmed. Like, they just make things happen.
Manifesting's real.
Manifesting's absolutely real. But yeah, everything is a mirror.
And it can be subconscious, right?
Oh, yeah, most of it's subconscious.
Yeah, because I mean, you're limiting yourself. So if you say, I'm going to start a business, but I know I can only do $100,000 a year, you're already putting that limit there. But if instead you say, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to try to grow, and once you get to one level, you say, okay, now I can manage this. What's the next step? Am I expanding? Am I looking for more volume versus, always saying, like, I'm only going to do this, I'm only going to do that. And also when you have, so for example, I want to touch back to when I was talking about a straight line. So I can say in the last 2 years, I've had more ups and downs than I did in the last 5 years, but it didn't feel like that because the way I deal with things now, I mean, nothing gets to me in the sense that it doesn't stop me from where I'm going.
Right.
So if I encounter an issue, I try to find a solution. And if there's not a solution, then I have to move on from that versus getting stuck, getting depressed, and just going down and not reacting, not doing anything about it.
Being able to recognize what's controllable and what's not.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Like you said, we're in a recession. Like, we can't control that, but there's always opportunity in a recession.
Yes.
That's what we learned at UPW.
Some of the most opportunity is in the hardest times, I think.
Yeah.
But going back to the mirror thing, like, everything's energy, right? Like, we are energy. So however we're vibrating, whatever our frequency is, that's what we attract in the world. So, I mean, you can go through YouTube and look up binaural beats of different frequencies and listen to them, and you try to change your frequency to manifest things. Like, manifestation is a huge thing nowadays. It's real, absolutely. But, like, you actually have to embody those things if you want to see them. Like, you don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. So whoever you actually are, like, that's what you're going to see in your life. If you are surrounded by people that you don't really like, doing things that you don't really like, it's probably because you don't really like yourself. Probably something going on in here. So if you want to change your life, if you want to change the world, it starts with you. You heal yourself, you heal the world.
I love it.
Internal, external.
And you said it starts with your thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. But, like, taking it a step further, like you just said, it starts with what you're surrounded by, because that's going to influence your thoughts. You know what I mean?
I would say yes and no. I think to a degree, for sure, environment is a factor. But like, you went to Costa Rica and you said that you were meeting all these different people that really didn't have very much, but they're some of the happiest people that you meet. Like, Costa Rica is a blue zone, and it's not necessarily because it has such great infrastructure, so much going on. Like, it's not, I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's one of my favorite places in the world, absolutely. But it's because of the energy. Like, it's because of the internal. It's because of the people. It's because of the thoughts that they think.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Like, we were surfing, and we had a surf instructor. We were talking about the economy and different things. And my friend said, like, how are you doing? Like, with, you know, work, career, financials. And he goes, I have enough. And he, just the way he said it, he was just, it was pure. It was fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you know, I work here, I work there, I get by. And he's like, I'm happy. He's like, he was almost shocked we asked him the question. He was like, we need to talk about money. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so idealized in today's society, and it's, you know, it's powerful and it does a lot of good, absolutely. But I think it's just put on this pedestal of, if you do or don't have it, then it determines who you are as a person. And I think you can be incredibly happy without money. I think you can be incredibly happy with money. I don't think money is a defining factor in somebody's happiness or who they are. Like, some of the greatest people in history weren't the richest people.
they grew from poverty.
Yeah,
And
they grew-
built something for
Yeah.
themselves, but yeah, they came from the nothing.
Yeah, but it was their internal, for sure. And even, like, money makes you more of who you are.
Amplifies, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're an unhappy person that's empty, you getting money isn't going to change that. It's not going to change that.
It actually might make things worse, right?
It will, because you'll realize, oh no, that money didn't fix me like I thought it would.
Yeah, and if you're a dark person and you get a lot of money, you're only going to be darker.
Yeah.
You're going to harm
You can
people.
use
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Because money does control people, because, again, it's idealized in society. And I'm not trying to demonize money by any means. Like I said, money does a lot of good in the world, but I don't think it should be a defining factor for how you feel about yourself or what you do in life. Like, if something that doesn't make you a lot of money makes you happy, like, don't let money keep you from doing that. Because, again, it goes back to the people. Like, however, your purpose in life isn't public speaking. It's not providing meals to people. Well, actually, no, that is, because you're serving people. It's not your gifts. Your purpose isn't your gifts. It's how your gifts serve people. People are always why you're here. It's to help other people. It's to heal other people. It's to make the world a better place. So it's not about the money. The money will come with whatever you do. But it's about serving people. It's about leading people. It's about helping people.
And the unseen opportunities that come with that job that provides less money, that fulfills you, is, like, immense.
I think what money really did to society was it created a lot of businesses that harm people instead of, you know, providing something for them. So, for example,
Kellogg's.
yeah, or like a liquor store, or
Yeah.
you know, places like that. So
Yeah.
I think we're blessed to be able to have businesses where we help people immensely. You know, you do it through fitness, you know, you heal people mentally, and I provide them with food. And I feel that when you have a purpose and you have a goal, and you're running a business, like, I'm very savvy with my numbers, but I've never made a move in my business where the number one goal is to make more money, ever. That's always the result. But I always say, you know what, I want to start servicing. Like, when I just started servicing Cherry Hill and, you know, South. I didn't do it because I said, oh my God, I'm going to make so much money. I did it because I have a lot of people requesting it. So, you know, it makes me feel good that now they're going to be able to order meals, and they are. And I got a lot busier too, you know. So I feel that when you do things in that with that mindset, they work out better, because you're going in with good intentions.
Yep.
And people can read that, you know. When you're going in there and you're so happy that now you're servicing a new area, or you're providing meals for someone. You know, I do a lot of pro bono stuff, and I do it because, you know, I grew up poor, and I know what it is to not always have food. So I'm just doing it out of my heart, and I don't even post that stuff because, you know, I don't want recognition for it. but it's, you do it, and that's love, you know. That, to me, that's, and you know what's funny? The last year, I kept saying to myself, I feel like I'm getting cheaper, in the sense that, you know, if I wanted something, I would go and buy it right away. But it's not that I've gotten cheaper, it's that other things make me happy now. So instead of me going out there and buying, I don't know, a jacket that I wanted, or you know, something stupid like that, or a new like I used to always get the new iPhone because I like tech a lot. But now I don't even care, you know. I'd rather spend the time and the money in something else, and mainly if that something impacts another person. So it's like my happiness has shifted into self-pleasure to, I guess, providing pleasure to other people in a nice way.
Yeah. Servitude. You're
Yeah,
talking about servitude.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. A service mindset is always going to get you so much farther, because, yeah, people can read that. People can recognize energy. And
I did a lot of that when I was a kid. I was very into church when I was young in Dominican Republic. And we did a lot of, you know, building. We would go to small towns and feed children. And I was like 10 or 12. And I think back to those days, and I was very, very happy. So I think that's why, you know, I'm finding that through business and through life, you can really, really do what makes you happy, you know?
Totally. And it makes me think, like, when you were doing all those things, you were living in the analog world, like more so, especially as when we were kids too. Obviously, each generation has more technology now. And I kind of wanted to ask you about that, like living in the analog world, like the real world, like looking up and observing just the trees around you, like all the little things that are real, versus being on your phone or just using technology in general. It curates a better environment for better thinking and positive thoughts. And that's why I kind of want to ask you about that. And I want you to tell the people like more about yourself, what you do, because your job is in the digital world.
Yep.
And obviously you manage that very well. But I just wanted you to maybe touch on like how you maybe balance that, or how you feel about that, or what do you do?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I do social media, Instagram and TikTok. Follow me, Courtney Snell with 3 L's. But I think you have to be very intentional, just like every other aspect of life. It's all about consciousness and intentionality. So personally, yeah, I spend a lot of my time on social media curating content, creating content, which I love. It's very fulfilling for me because I know I'm helping a lot of people with it.
It's very informational and positive stuff.
Yeah, and I'm moving more and more into that. So I feel very blessed that I'm able to utilize social media. Like, I think social media is so powerful. You're able to connect with people all over the world and help people all over the world like never before. So there's so many benefits of it. And I think one of the things that helps me the most is that small moments are big for me. So like going through my day to day, like everything is divine. Everything, like I was talking about before, everything happens for a reason. So whenever I'm off my phone, like I appreciate life so much, taking walks, living in Tampa. Like I'm so happy that I live there. I love it. I love my friends. I'm very intentional with how I spend my time. So I don't feel bad about being on my phone or being off of my phone. I'm very structured. I think that's also very important because I've gone through seasons where I wasn't as structured, and you spend a lot more time on your phone, or you don't spend as much time outside. Being outside in nature is just absolutely necessary for happiness. Like you have to connect with Mother Earth. You have to connect with nature and spirit and God. Like personally, that is an essential for my life and for my happiness. And so balancing being on my phone, doing my work, and also spending time outside of that. Just like you guys, you have businesses, and like it's work at the end of the day. It's very fulfilling. Luckily, all of us, we love what we do. But we still need that intentional time of filling our own cup so that we can come back and fill others.
Being intentional with your attention.
Yes.
Like I noticed today, we sat right here and did our work. Like we were on our computers working on some things, have a seminar coming up, have a yoga class coming up. So we were like silent, and I could tell like you were locked in on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And like you didn't go on your phone. You were intentional with that intention, right with what you were doing. And I think that's a key for people to realize, like when you're doing something, when you're doing a task, don't be doing 5 things at once. I know you know this.
Yeah, that's
And
why
like
I started mushrooms.
yeah, so
And
being able to direct that focus, and like I'll be working on something, and then I'll post something, and then I'll go back to what I was doing, and then I'll have a thought, and I'll go like add that to my Amazon cart, and like it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes like that's a good flow, but that attention and being able to dial it when you need to is so important. And a lot of people lack the ability to keep their attention on something for a longer period of time. Like attention spans are lowering to like minutes versus being able to sit down and read a book for a straight hour.
I heard something the other day, and I don't know if you guys saw this too, but some study said that we have an attention span as similar as a goldfish now. Have you seen that?
I wouldn't be
I've heard
surprised.
Similar things.
I couldn't believe that when I read that. But no,
I think that's more like the generation below us, though. I mean, we're not far away, so don't get me wrong. But
yeah, the generation below me, which is you guys.
what were you saying?
Welcome back. Yeah, so I was talking about just being focused and not being all over the place. You can still handle different things at a time, but just, at least for me, it works where I finish one thing and then move on to another instead of, doing 20% 5 things instead of doing 100 and then moving on.
I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that's because we've become better with uncomfortability? Because I feel like a lot of times we'll distract ourselves. So we'll reach something with what we're doing, and it'll be some subconsciously uncomfortable or challenging. So then we check our phone. We look for something else to give us a dopamine rush and some kind of comfortability and comforting.
Definitely.
So instead of
I think
doing that, reaching for our phone or distracting ourselves, we are lasered in and like, no, this is priority. I'm going to finish this. So you power through it.
I mean, obviously success lies outside your comfort zone. My favorite example is just like doing things that make you uncomfortable in terms of reacting with people, or like doing public
speaking. It makes you more
speaking,
peaceful.
Yeah, like going to that event that you're nervous to go to because there's a lot of people there that you don't know, for example. Like that's my favorite uncomfortability to test. I want to touch on, well, first, what is life? A lot of our life is our trauma.
Yep.
And our trauma creates who we are.
Yep.
And how we deal with it creates who we are.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch on how to heal it, how to be aware of it, how to accept it.
Personally, I think trauma can start, from the womb. I think it can come from past lives, ancestrally. It can even come from somebody that wasn't in your lineage. I think energy is so powerful that we can't fully understand how it connects, because we are all one at the end of the day. We all came from the same place. We are all connected. We're all brothers and sisters. Yes. But trauma does form who we are. It forms our thought patterns, our actions, our personality, at our core. So when we're little, how we used to play, we didn't really have cares in the world, you know what I mean? But we've been programmed over time to care about certain things, have beliefs about certain things. At the Tony Robbins event, he asked us, he's like, how many of you believe things? Everybody raised their hand, of course. How many of you know where those beliefs came from? Not as many people raised their hand. Of those that know where they came from, are they your own, or were they other people that gave them to you? 99% of people, their beliefs come from programming from somebody else, from traumas, from events happening to them. And so going through life, unless you acknowledge that, it's like you're living somebody else's life. It's not even your own life.
I mean, religion is a great example of that. For example, if you think, I grew up Catholic, if you think of what happened to Jesus, when I was a kid, I could feel that. Like I could, when that time came during the year, which is, now in April, I I could feel like that pain of seeing Jesus on the cross, you know. So to me, that's like trauma that has been passed on.
Yep.
And it's not even my, who knows, you know, it's probably not even my descendancy or whatever.
Right. Yeah, but it's still all connected. And like you said, like, we're going to hold that. Our body keeps the score. So we hold our trauma in our body. Like, if you have an ache somewhere, I've heard stories about this where somebody just had an ache in their body for however long, and they did breath work. And through the breath work, they went through this experience where they had a past life regression of realizing they were, and this might be a lot woo-woo for a lot of people, but just listen. But they had a past life regression where they were in this war and they were stabbed somewhere in their body, right where they had that pain in this life. And through breath work, they were able to realize that and release that pain and release that trauma. But if you want to talk about trauma in these lives, you can be going through something as a child and store that in your body. And until you realize it and confront it as an adult, it's going to stay in your body. Like, everything needs intentionality, and you have to look internally and sit with yourself to release these things. Otherwise, you're always going to hold them. And you're, again, coming back to the mirror, you're going to project those things, and you're going to create a life that shows you what trauma you hold.
And I want to give a good example that's a little less woo for people for this lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's something I learned in yoga, and it's simple, right? So your muscles get tight, and stretching's a great way to release that tension. But what makes them tight? Trauma. Whether it's physical, mental, from your childhood, you are storing that in different places of your body. And the hips are a big one. And it comes down to basically my favorite concept, which is movement is medicine. And you can't fix a feeling problem by thinking. So I think a big first step for a lot of people to find their trauma or heal their trauma, even if they don't even know what their trauma is to move your body, stretch your body, open it up, work out, go outside. Like, it'll help you realize these things. And like stretching and like holding stretches for at least a minute, like pick a few stretches and just hold them, not painfully, for over a minute, and you'll like feel things. You'll learn things about yourself. You'll release that tension. You'll release that trauma. It literally goes into your bloodstream, and you release those toxins into your bloodstream, and you process it. And it's common to feel emotions because you're literally processing them.
You're releasing them from you because they're stored.
And it's a never-ending thing. Like, the next day, if I did a really hard workout, that put physical trauma on my body, and now I'm tight again. It's a constant cycle. And like, let's say you went through a breakup that was really hard for you. You're going to store mental trauma somewhere. And the only way to release that, one is time, and two is move your body, stretch, open it up, feel it.
Yeah, internal reflection is everything. And that's why I think like therapy is so important. Breath work is so important. Meditation is so important. Psychedelics are so important. Like, these different modalities help you in so many different ways because they help you to get different perspectives. They help you to look deeper internally and heal yourself.
That's what they all have in common is reflection.
Yeah.
Internally. Mostly. There are obviously some forms of meditation that are external, but most of like all those things are looking into yourself, looking into your own mirror, and seeing what's there.
Yeah, and a lot of these things, I don't know about you guys, but personally, like, there's large sections of my childhood that I don't remember. Like, there's huge blank spots, and that's a trauma response. Like, that's very common in people, is that they'll disassociate, and it's their body and mind protecting them to not remember these things because they don't want to feel that pain. Like, your body, like, that's actually one of the main things, like, psychologically that we do is we try to avoid pain. That's why we distract ourselves. That's why we want to get dopamine rushes. That's why we want to be comfortable. It's because we want to avoid pain. And so disassociating, not having those memories, like, that's a huge example of not having to deal with those pain. But when you go into these healing modalities, you're able to recognize these things, remember these things. Like I've gone through breathwork sessions and remembered traumatic things that have happened to me that I didn't even know of. And then I'm able to confront them, accept them, and release them. And I'm lighter afterwards. I think that's one of the huge things with healing is that you're lighter. Like you're literally a lighter human being after you let these things go, because I don't want to like for it to be some kind of negative thing. Like everybody has trauma, but in a sense it is baggage because it's going to.
It's holding you down.
It is. It does hold you down. Like it's.
What'd you say about healing? It's remembering.
It's
right?
remembering.
It's not learning. It's remembering.
It's not learning. Yeah. Because going back to being a kid, like you're free and carefree and you just love, like you don't let anything affect you or worry about things. You're not worried about other kids. Like you just
don't give a fuck.
You don't give a fuck. Yeah. You're just playing. You're just having
Vibing.
fun. You're just being.
You're vibrating.
You're being. Yes. And so that's what healing is. It's returning to that inner child. That's why inner child work is so important, because that's where it all starts. Like as we're children, as we gain that consciousness enough to know there's good and bad things. Like when we're young, like there's no good and bad. It's just like you're just having fun. You're just doing stuff. And then your parent says, no, don't do that. That's bad. Like you're a bad kid. And you're like, oh shit, I was just playing. Like, am I not allowed to play? And then you hold that throughout your life.
The concept of parenting. We should do a whole podcast.
We should do.
Not that we're parents though, but you are.
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It's fun, and like I consider myself to be a strict parent. So, like if Kendrick wants to use his iPad, he calls me and he'll ask me if he can use it. He puts a timer on it. He has to read, a certain amount of time every day. There's certain things that he has to do, and he's only 4. Where nowadays most kids will have a tablet with them all day. They don't. If he eats, he has to pick up his plate, put it in the dish room. Just teaching him. I mean, that's how I grew up, and I feel like nowadays a lot of parents don't teach that to their kids, where they don't even know how to cook. They don't know how to do anything, and it's just getting them ready for life. Life is not handed to you, so
In the analog world.
yeah. So I feel like if you teach them when they're young and you make them understand that they're not entitled to everything, then they're gonna maybe. I mean, sometimes
Sure.
they're just gonna fuck up no matter what. But at
That's
least you
what
try,
life's all. That's
Yeah.
part of life.
Yeah.
Fucking up, failing.
But you're reducing the chances at least.
Yeah. You're setting them up for success, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all just doing the best we can,
I mean,
too.
they had a hearing. I don't know when we're going to post this, but yesterday they had a hearing with the CEO of TikTok. Number one, to me, it was embarrassing to our country. I mean, the people asked, this guy asked the question if, when you're on TikTok, does it connect to the Wi-Fi at your home? Like, how else are you going to access it, So it's crazy. I mean, whenever the Congress does a hearing with either pharmaceutical companies or tech, it's embarrassing. They don't get ready for it. They're asking questions that make no sense. And they're over here asking the CEO of TikTok all these questions about what if an 8-year-old goes on TikTok and this and that, but no one asks. And he just kept saying, we have these tools to monitor that and to prevent, whatever, but it's also at the parents' discretion. And the Congress never mentioned that. I mean, why are you asking this guy? Tell the parent, why is your kid on the phone 20 hours a day?
Yeah.
Why do they even have a TikTok?
Right.
My son doesn't have it, and I have restrictions on all his apps. So I'm taking the steps in order for him not to see a girl twerking or a guy, doing something stupid. And I just feel like at home, there's not enough restrictions when it comes to, I mean, there's a lot of crazy shit out there that kids can see nowadays.
It's all right there.
And they have all these phones and these tablets just open. They can search whatever they want.
Right. Right.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where the world's going to be in 10, 20 years. But like we talked about before, it's not that we need to worry about it. We can only control
Yeah.
what we can control.
Yeah.
So,
And I think we're moving
but
in a really great direction. Like there is light always prevails
Sure.
at the end of the day. Like
light warriors.
love and light, yeah, it's going to prevail. There's nothing that they can do to stop it. They can try with all their might, but I think especially our generation is so pivotal in this because we are awakening. We are becoming conscious.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And we were making moves, and especially with the social media, like we're able to connect and like create more numbers of these conscious people.
Yeah.
So, and we're planting those seeds, and like the generations that follow, like they're going to pick up where we leave off and like continue that fight and make a better world. I have full faith in us. So,
Love it. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
so getting breathwork certified, if you would like to experience that, learn more about it, get some healing on, I would love to help you. Or just follow me. I'm teaching about breathwork, proper breathing, cycle syncing, divine feminine, all of that. Let's heal the world together.
100%. And she'll be doing a breathwork class at the studio at some point.
Heck yes.
Awesome.
Word.
Awesome.
Love you guys. Keep enjoying life and stay positive.
Peace.